Hey folks, Farmer Marshall here. I'm getting ready to repot my key lime tree. I just got this not long ago. I hear about prices being sky high. $34.99 on sale, half price. So of course I had to grab it. And you see two pots here. I'm not going to put in this one. I'm going to pot it into one like this. Reason being, first of all, these were free. I got this from a local nursery and they just give them away. So I'm like, why not? I have these, I have tons of pots all over here. I got all these pots for free. Another reason I'm using it is because it has plenty of drain holes. Your key lime tree does not want to be sitting in damp, moist soil all the time. It needs well-draining soil. So, perfect type of pot for it. Something else I did that's very important is my choice of soil. It wants a well-draining soil. So what I did is I took some dirt, actually I just took some potting soil, and then I amended it with some sand. Now some people use perlite or vermiculite, but you can also make a loamy type soil using some sand. So that's what I did. So the next thing I have to do is obviously get it repotted. And let me show you one reason why I want to repot it. I know this pot could last it for a while, but one thing I hate to see when I'm potting a plant, see how the roots are all along here? Almost like they're compacted some. So I want this plant to, at least the roots, to feel like it has space to grow. I want it to expand out to this pot. But I don't want to necessarily put it in this pot here. It's not quite ready for this one. It would survive and do just fine, but this one here is actually better. So I'm going to repot it in this pot. And one thing about my soil, and I'm glad I used some dirt from outside. Actually, I used some potting soil and also used some sand, and I also used some of my compost that I made in my compost bin. And one reason that's very important for me, at least, to use something like my compost is the compost has plenty of bacteria, and that bacteria is what helps release the fertilizer that's in your dirt. It helps release it into the soil so your plant can feed from that. So, very important to use soil that's not, in a term that some people use, sterile. I don't want sterile soil. I want my soil to have life in it. So, that's one reason why I use my compost. Now this would be a good sized pot. Now if you believe this pot's 3.5, got 3.5 gallons, which is an odd number. I don't know why they did 3.5. This one's 15.5, something like that. Another weird number. I can't figure it out. But this is the 1 gallon pot. So I am up potting it fairly significantly, but it's not overkill. And it will be able to stay in this pot for years, literally years. Or I could plant it outside, inside my garden, or just inside my yard. But one great thing about putting a tree like this in a pot is that I have more control over it. I can control the weather. It got 27 degrees the other day. So I picked this up, put it inside my garage. My garage is directly connected to my house. It might have got 50 degrees in there, but that's plenty warm. 27 degrees possibly would have killed this key lime tree. This can tolerate temperatures down to 30 degrees, but I'm not really trying to get it that cold. So I brought it in the house. Today it's 55 degrees. It's back outside the house. It has plenty of sunlight. It has a decent temperature, and it's out here in nature. So, and I'm trying to bury it. Well, not necessarily bury it so much, but I'm trying to pot it. Also, something else I like to do. I like to stir up the roots a little bit let it know that, hey, it's time to start growing some more. Encouraging, stimulating the roots. So I'm going to continue putting my mixture of soil, sand. This dirt had been used for a previous plant that unfortunately didn't make it. So, and I fertilized that plant, so I know there's still plenty of life in the fertilizer that I put in there. I'm just going to spread the dirt around. These type of pots, or these type of plants, key limes, Meyer lemon trees, they like a loamy soil. And like I mentioned, they really don't want to be sitting in a bunch of water, but you really don't necessarily want to let them dry out. But heaven forbid you drown the plant and have way too much water in there. And if you're ever concerned that maybe your dirt isn't draining enough, when you deep water this plant, if you don't see the water coming out the bottom of these holes, you need to do something. Either put more holes in it. Obviously this one has tons of holes, but who knows, it could get clogged. I doubt it, because my sand is very loamy. But with your sand, you might try something different, but just make sure you pay attention to whether or not your water is draining out the bottom, because you don't want to drown the plant. I'm not burying the plant deep. I'm keeping it, the dirt, sand, soil combination, about at the same level that it was already in the dirt. But maybe tap it down just a little bit. It's pretty straight. I can be a little OCD sometimes. I do like it kind of straight, so I think I'm okay with that. Now this plant's going to do well. And actually, let me show you. I don't know if you can see these, but this plant that already had blooms on it. Plenty of blooms. I like to see that on a plant, and I don't know if you can tell the difference, but some of these leaves here are newer. They're a little bit lighter. Of course, these are lighter too because they've gone a little yellow. But it was in the garage for a few days. But that's not a big issue for me. Overall, the plant, the health of the plant is good. I like seeing the blooms, but I'm not going to let the blooms stay on this fall, winter. In the spring, I'll take a look at the plant and see what blooms come on it, and then I'll decide if I want to have, I might want to get a few key limes off of this. Or I might just leave it for a year, let it sit, take all the blooms off, and just let the plant concentrate on growing bigger, deeper roots and a bigger upper body. And once that's done, like I said, next year I might let it, next year I might let it produce a few key limes, but I might not. It just kind of depends. You can do what you want. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention, this is a thornless key lime. I get so sick of thorns on plants, between the blackberries, the blueberries. Yeah, I saw thornless. I was like, yeah, I gotta have it. So I'll do follow-up videos on this tree. Let's see how it's growing over the next 6 months, years. So like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and let's get out there and get a little dirty.